A very good morning to all of you. I hope that you are doing well. Today we are talking about, last but not the least, the feminist theory of political approach. The moment you talk about feminism, the moment you talk about women empowerment, the moment you talk about feminist, the idea of all these words are very simple, that make women as a center of policy making, or you can say that give enough space so that they fulfill their aspirations, give enough opportunities so that they develop to their maximum capacities. By doing all of this, you are just trying to make the woman to come into the mainstream of society. Mainstream of society, this is a main river which is going. In this main river, you are only seeing what? Males, 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 men, men, men. And here you are having what? Some out of many women who are entrepreneurs, two are there. Out of many politicians, two are there in the mainstream. Out of many people who are scientists, only two are there. Right? It means what? The complete women and women here, which are actually acting as a rivulets. So we are asking them, you come into the mainstream. You come into the mainstream. Nothing but giving them enough scope, promoting their potentials, giving them opportunities in order to fulfill their aspirations, and to ultimately establish a egalitarian society where men and women are equal, considered to be equal. And obviously very simple fact about it is, we have been in a society that has given a very derogatory position to the women since the ancient times, then through the medievals, then through the modern times, and even today women are objectified, women are harassed, women are assaulted, women are disrespected, women are molested, women are stereotyped also. Women are stereotyped also. I guess all of these words you are getting in. That's why if we empower them, what will happen? The change in the mindset of the society will begin, and it will consider women to be equally skilled like men, to be equally valued like men, to be equally respected like men, to be equally stereotyped like men. That is fine. If anything is there with regard to the men, how you are judging the men, if the same thing you apply for the women also, that is also very fine, right? So here some important aspect with regard to feminism, femininity, feminist, all of these are a part and parcel of women empowerment. Remember this point here. The same thing we are going to study in this political theory of feminist. We will also take a lot of examples how government of India has promoted feminism in our country, the most and the very structured way that we have adopted in order to promote women and or to make a policy centric to the women is nothing but gender budgeting. Though we do not have a separate classification or categorization of gender budgeting, but if you see that lot of newspaper do mention that how much is given for the women and child welfare. So that itself is what? A gender budgeting, and you have to talk about whether it is increasing or not increasing, right? Okay. So introduction to feminist political theory, the definition is very simple. We wanted to say that feminist theory is basically a subset of political theory, where you are making the woman as a center. It means what? You are going away from the androcentric society, which is nothing but more inclined, the society is more inclined towards men. So whatever the androcentric bias is there, the feminist theory is actually challenging that androcentric bias. So in this theory we will analyze the political theory with the lens of, with the perspective of feminism. Okay. Core premise of this particular theory is very simple. Why are men more powerful and privileged over women? in any given society. We are trying to identify that one. This theory aims to transform political landscape, means giving more representation. In Panchayat Raj institutions we have given 50%, in jobs we have given 33%. So, more with regard to social space, transforming the society towards the women by asking them like Shadi Mubarak scheme is there, don't get married to your children before 18 years of age. So, making the society having more positive inclination towards what women. So, we want to transform the political aspect of women, transform the social norms for the women, transform the economic potential of women, or harness it, transform the cultural bias with regard to the women, not allowing the women to Sabarimala, not allowing the women to masjid, not allowing the women to be a part of any kind of spirituality or rituals, divinity when they are going towards menstruation cycle. That is what cultural aspect. How in culture, whether they are getting what married as a minor, that is also a culture in many of the tribal areas of our country. Right. So, with the help of this theory, we will try to transform the women in the political sphere, social sphere, economic sphere and culture sphere. In order to achieve what? Gender equality. It is written in other way, but in explanation I am saying we want to achieve gender equality. Why we want to transform means because gender inequality is perpetuated. Why we want to transform? Because gender inequality is perpetuated. Getting my point here? Yes. So, whenever they ask in the examination for the 5 marks, they will ask you directly. They will not ask this, that, but elucidate, critically analyze, comment, like nothing will be there. Very how I have told you in orientation class, the same way. They will just mention feminist theory of political thought, that is all. One line. This theory emerged during the women's liberation movements in 1960s, 1970s in US and UK. It is very important for all of us to understand that we always criticize our country that from the ancient times we have actually treated women very badly. We always say that it is not the way that Western countries have actually treated the women, but you are very wrong in that. Women were treated even bad in Roman Empire, in Ottoman Empire, in Persian Empire. They were treated very badly in all the societies, even in the modern societies. And many of the Western countries have also got the voting rights, given the voting rights to the women in 1700s. I don't exactly remember when the voting right for women were given for UK women or US women, German women, but I am very sure that that is not the way that they have lived also. Like 1700 or 1800 they have got the voting rights, because at that time only the liberation movements were there in their particular country. That is why they have got the voting rights. That we as an individual, we as a country, we always promoted what? Gender equality, and we have given the women voting rights the moment we are we got independence. We do not have women liberation movements, women voting rights movement, we do not have, because our framers of the constitution and the leaders at that time was well prepared, and they know very well that women should be treated equally. That is why the moment we got the independence, they have given it. But in other countries it is not a cake in the hand. The woman has fought to get rights. I am talking about the countries that are developed even today, Western European countries and also US led NATO bloc. So, this theory emerged during the women liberation movements that has happened in 1960s and 1970s in US and UK. It is a critic, this theory is a critic of gender blindness of Western political theory. In Western political theories also, basically they have not made much of the reference to the women empowerment, not made much of the references with regard to what role women will be playing in politics, in the decision making or in the governance of the country. They have hardly given any space to the women at that time. So, that is why gender blind means they are blind by the men gender. If they talk about political theory, in their mind only men has been roaming. So, this theory is a critic of gender blindness of Western political theories. It expands the scope of what is political to include private and domestic spheres. private and domestic spheres. Very, very important line these are. They thought that men as he goes out will definitely be more political, more vocal, more privileged and can able to participate in decision making, and they thought that as a woman is actually restricted or constrained to the domestic sphere and will not go out, will not voice her opinion. So what is the use of actually taking her opinions into consideration? Okay, so they have, when they were given their Western political thoughts, they were very clear in their thoughts that they have to actually promote, okay, they have to actually divide a private sphere and a domestic sphere. In domestic sphere, women is mainly concise, where in the private sphere, the men are actually doing lot of outside work. So that distinction has been given here. What is political to include private and domestic spheres? Key objective of this particular theory is to achieve gender justice, equality, freedom from patriarchy, okay, gender justice, equality, okay, fair treatment of men, women on par with men. Whatever the injustices happen to the women should be corrected, that is called as gender justice, and freedom from patriarchy. Men-led societies are called as what? Patriarchy, whether it is the domestic sphere or whether it is a private sphere. Private sphere is nothing but outside sphere, means outside your home, whatever your affairs are there, whether they are political affairs or economic affairs or cultural affairs, whatever the affairs you are having outside your household, those are all called as what? Private spheres. Okay. At this point of time, we think that privacy is within our home. No, what a person can do all by himself. There is also a negative connotation to the privacy. It is very important for all of you to understand the meaning of privacy. The moment you hear about the word privacy, people think that gives a negative connotation to it. Remember this point, but that is not the case. Privacy should be taken, the word privacy should be taken as very positive, in the sense that privacy is nothing but what I am doing, I don't want to show to everyone. I want to show only to the people whom I want to show. That is called as privacy. That's all. It means you are not hiding. It means you are not hiding. You just don't want your profile pic to be seen to everyone. You want your profile pic to be shown to the people that you like to show. That is called as privacy. Right or wrong? But the moment you close the door of your room, the mother and father and everyone thinks that something fishy is going on. Actually speaking, you might be talking to your own male friend, if you are male, or female friend, if you are female, but you just don't want that particular conversation to be heard by anyone. That's why you close the door. Okay, it does not really mean that you are doing something fishy or you are doing something which is not good culturally or ethically or immorally it is there. It's not like that, no? Right? So that's how from the household to the society to offices also, the moment the word privacy come, it is all about negative connotation, but that is not. Okay, privacy is all about, it's your wish to show things to all people or restrict it to only few people. That's all. Means it is a choice of yours. That's all. That's a very positive connotation. I hope this is clear to you. Right. Fine. So men-led societies are called as what? Patriarchy. Whether it is Hinduism, where the father is called as Karta, means male. We do not have Karti. In Islam also, the men has been accorded higher status. The problem with regard to these societies, these political thoughts are very, very simple. Okay, the simplicity of these problems are too complex that they are even present today. We have been talking about egalitarianism, we have been talking about gender justice since 1960s, 1970s, 1780s, whatever it is. But the problem here is the religious text will always cut across these theories, and for everyone the divinity is the most important thing the man has always sought. The man has always felt divinity, spirituality, ritualism is what the main life of an individual is all about. The man has thought that way. That's the reason whatever the political theory, whatever the governance, whatever the political administration that you have, if it infringes your religious rights, your divinity rights, your spirituality right, your ritualistic right, automatically no one will follow it. Here also when you talk about the going away from the patriarchy, when the religion text does not give that particular sanction, obviously that is not happening even today. Even father is the head of the family. Okay, father role has been divided, mother role has been divided. They are not exchanging, they are exchanging only in what? Shorts and reels for the comedy purpose. Who else is actually following it, making the mother as the head of the family, mother on the woman name the house should be, on the woman name the economic resources should be, on the woman wisdom the decision of the household has been left. Is it like that? No. Okay, still we are having what? Patriarchy. Why? Because the religion has sanctioned that men has to be what? Head of the family. So that is also the problem here. Okay, right. Now let us see the evolution of this feminist theory has occurred in 3 waves of feminist theoretical approaches. 3 waves, just like COVID 1 wave, 2 wave, like that it has come, no? 3 waves, 3 kinds of moments happen over a period of time. In different wave, a different perspective has been given with regard to what? Feminism. First wave occurred 1820s to 1940s, where the people have fought, where the women have fought for the political and legal rights. Political rights are nothing but right to contest election, right to form political party, right to form association, right to form cooperatives, right to criticize the government, right to protest against the government, right to show the dissent against the government, right against government, speak against government, okay, occupy any office of government, whether it is the prime minister office or whether it is the president office. Okay, you are entitled to be a part of any of the government office from the peon level to the highest level of PM and president. Those are called as political rights. Okay, so in this particular first wave, the woman has fought, and the women activists also, who are males, they have fought for the recognition of political and legal equality. I told you about political parties, nothing but a man can contest the elections. Women should be also be given what? Contesting the election opportunity. If for you 21 years, for you also 21 years, for you 25 years, for you also 25 years. If I can form a political party, SosinIAS political party, you girl can also form a political party, Sanjana political party. If I can write against the government, women should also can write against the government. These are called as political parties. That's why we are having highest positions of our country. Indira Gandhi ji was there, our first woman prime minister, and we have many male prime ministers also. In the same way, we are having presidents also in the male, also females are there. So in the political positions also, highest positions are being occupied by male and female. So in our country, if you see very clearly, we are having political equality at most. Political equality is there. Okay, remember this point. Then legal equalities are nothing but when a law is made, the law should be treating men and women equally. Treating men and women equally. There are some, one more important point I have to tell you, that there are some, okay, what I say is that services, defense services are there, where women are not allowed. Okay, combat services, border fighting services, women are not allowed. Exceptions are there. Okay, so legally you can write NDA exams, CDS exams, or you can join army, but for combat, women will not be given a chance. Okay, 3-4 women are commissioned recently, where in combat also they can use, but only in the air force, but not in what? Military. Walking wala nahi hai abhi. So legally there are some exceptions, but mostly those are based on some important criteria, some important aspects that they have not allowed, but obviously in future they will allow, just like Western European countries, female regiments we are having. But we are now talking about legal equality here. Legal equality is nothing but law whatever is made should be equal to equally applicable to men and women, that is called as legal equality. Right to Property Act, it is in 300, should be applicable same to men and women. Remember this point. Inheritance of mother and father property, it has now been confirmed 50-50% to the male and female. Remember this point. These are called as what? Legal equality. In India, we are having complete political equality we have given to the women, but legal equality we have not given 100% to all the, in all the spheres. We have restricted in some spheres, and it has been continuously evolving. In future, you will see what? All the laws, whether it is property, adoption, etc., so and so forth, child adoption I am saying, okay, all that will be easily, will become what? Legal equality can be envisaged. But at this point of time, I have given you example of army, I have given you example of what? Before this judgment of 50-50% ancestral property distributed between daughter and son, before that it was not there, it is not there, it is now, it is there. That is why it is evolving. We are moving towards what? Legal equality. Another important point here is equal pay for equal work. Equal pay for equal work. That act also we are having. Factories Act. Men and women should be given what? Equal pay when they are doing equal work. Okay, fine. So legal equality has been envisaged through laws also. In India, we are trying to do it. Focus. Political rights, legal equality, example suffrage. Suffrage is nothing but voting rights. All who cross 18 years will be given what? Voting rights. Okay. Then we are having key events with regard to this particular wave where political and legal equality has been envisaged, just like we are having United Nations Framework for Convention on Climate Change, Montreal Protocol is there, Vienna Conventions are there. Okay. We are having Convention to Combat Desertifications are there. We are having many Migration of Birds Convention are there. So many conventions, however, we are having in the same way. In order to recognize the political and legal rights of the women, we are actually having what? Seneca Falls Convention. Seneca Falls Convention, and another one is Declaration of Sentiments by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Declaration of Sentiments by Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the Queen of UK, and we are having Seneca Falls Convention. Under these two important events, the woman has got what? Suffrage, means voting rights has been given. In Britain, Representation of People Act 1918. In Britain, Representation of People Acts has been created in the 1918. Okay. 1918 in the history books we are having the incidents of Saifuddin Khishlu and Satyapal Rowlatt Act, that they have actually got arrested, I guess, maybe there. 1920 we launched non-cooperation movement. Okay. So in Britain, because of these events and conventions, Britain has passed an act. That act is called as Representation of Peoples Act 1918. And under this act, universal suffrage has been given. Universal suffrage has been given, means anyone who is above 18 years, universally in our country, whether they are irrespective of religion, irrespective of caste, irrespective of descent, irrespective of region, irrespective of creed, you are 18 years, take the voter ID card with you. That is called as universal suffrage. So because of this first wave and various women political movements and conventions and sentiments of Elizabeth was held, so in Britain the woman has got the voting rights, and USA has also amended in the Seneca Falls Convention. They have done an amendment of 19th amendment to their constitution in 1920, and they have also given what? Universal suffrage. And India we have given 1950 26 January. Okay, that's our universal constitution came into force. Obviously article 324 also came into force. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. In India, if you see, formation of Women Indian Association happened in the year 1917 by Dhanvanti Rama and Annie Besant. But problem with regard to this Women Indian Association is was clearly mainly focused on white middle class women, white people, middle class women, ignored working class and non-Western women. Those who are wearing saris or those who are wearing traditional clothing, those who are not having Western thoughts, does not believe in what I say is that liberty, equality, freedom like that. So non-Western woman was excluded. Okay, a new way of saying that you are very traditional. As a girl, if somebody says that you are very traditional, if a boy says to a girl, the new way of saying is this one. Okay, you should not use, I am just giving you. Non-Western woman. Okay. You don't go to pubbing? No, we don't go. Or you are a non-Western woman. Aisa. So see, when you learn books, when you try to understand the books, etc., so and so forth, you increases and develop the vocabulary. You will get new ways to talk and new ways to impress, and new ways to, you can become a good orator, just like Modi ji. Okay, I have never seen in my life someone speak so good, where the masses will be having the eye on the leader all the time. Okay, right. So key thinker Mary Wollstonecraft, A Vindication of Rights of the Woman. She has wrote a book. Under this, she has advocated educational and rational capacity as a basis of equality. Rational capacity is nothing but when a man can do 8 hours of work and can able to write 10 papers, you assume that a woman can also do 8 hours of work and can write 10 papers. This is called as rationalism. When you don't color any gender with regard to their capabilities, and when you don't stereotype that women are having less potential, okay, then it is called as what? You are being very rational. If I ask you to, what I say is that stand on one leg for 1 hour, if I say the same thing to the woman, before giving her the task or trying for that, you have an imagination that she cannot do. That should not be there. So you have to promote rational equality. Wherever a man and woman can compete each other with full capacities, okay, you have to only follow the rational principle, and you should be like sitting in the aircraft or air force and fighting with the enemy does not have a much of physical work. And it is a true and medically proven fact that women have less physical power than the men. That is a proven fact. Okay. With regard to something doing with the like heavy things, men can perform better. That is a medically proved fact. But sitting on the aircraft and bombing a particular country, enemy country, that is very rational because it requires skills and handling of the technology only. So there you have to be very rational and give women the opportunity to sit on what? Aircraft. They can do that and combat. Okay. Fine. This is the first wave is over. Now we will go to the second wave. First wave is mainly concerned with universal suffrage. Second wave, 1960s to 1980, personal is political. The triggering of this particular wave is coming from Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystic. But in this particular book, Betty Friedan is a author. Okay, book name is Feminine Mystic. In this book, focus is on social, sexual, psychological dimensions of oppression. So here in this book, the author has said that social oppression is happening on what? Women. Society is oppressing the woman, burqa system, parda system, triple talaq system, abandoning the woman after marriage, deserting her after marriage. That is called as what? Social oppression. Society is oppressing. Sexual oppression, molesting, groping, assaulting, raping. Not only that, even in the home, it is also any forceful sexual act is considered as rape in our country. But if it is being done by a husband, which is a legitimate husband, then the forceful sex is not considered as rape. And it has been omitted from the crimes under the IPC also, BNS also, Bharatiya Nyaya Shakshata. book 2023, in that also it is omitted. Means forceful sexual with sex with the wife is not a crime and cannot be considered as a rape. That is properly written in our books. Okay, but marital rape is also a sexual oppression. Okay, son preference in the society, female infanticides, all of this will come under what? Social oppression. Women should walk like this, women should walk like this, should not wear like this, okay, should not laugh loud, etc. Socially oppressed. Society will oppress them. Psychologically dimension, always thought that इनको लड़के को ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस देंगे, लड़की को कम इम्पोर्टेंस देंगे, बच्चे को ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस देंगे, बच्ची को कम इम्पोर्टेंस देंगे, तो घर में ही वो सब माहौल बना के रखते, बाद में सोसाइटी में ही वैसे ही माहौल बना के रखते. आपको कितने बेटी हैं, कितने बच्चे हैं? मेरे को 2 बच्चियां हैं. अरे बेटा नहीं है, ऐसा साइकोलॉजिकली उनको ऑप्रेस करते. दे ऑप्रेस साइकोलॉजिकली. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट हियर? यस. ओके. Slogan is the personal is political. Means if you talk the personal problems of the woman, the personal social oppression, the personal sexual oppression of women, the personal psychological oppression of women, give these areas also political context. That's why we are having what? Domestic Violence Act, we are having Child Marriages Restraint Act, we are having. You get married your daughter at 18 years, 14 years, 13 years, but married your son at 21 years, 25 years, whenever he wants. So she does not have that choice, okay, to sexually commit to a particular man at the 14, 15, 16 years. She has not been asked and not been given the choice whether she want to commit or not, okay, in that particular age, but you give enough space to the man to commit sexually with someone on his will and on his time. Getting? So he said that don't say that only women should not be looked at as a political tool, give them the rights and ask them to vote, that's all. It's not like that. Women oppressions with regard to its sexual, social oppressions, psychological oppressions are also political in nature. Give them the space. That's why we got n number of acts with regard to the what I say is that removing oppression of from women with regard to social, psychological, etc. Because in psychological also, even in domestic violence in IPC, it is being written, if the husband is actually abusing the woman and their parents, etc., will create a mental agony on the woman, that is also considered as a crime. So psychological dimension, psychological oppression has also been given importance. So whatever the book and whatever the author has said, today we are actually giving. Key ideas: patriarchy is not just political but cultural and psychological also. Very, very important. Don't think that father is only taking the decisions. No. The man community will not leave a woman only with respect to political. The man community, the social community of the man will oppress her socially, oppress her sexually, oppress her psychologically. That's the reason, not just the patriarchy, you have to consider the other aspect of women oppression as political. Feminist theory diversified into multiple strands. Because of this great author, we got a new perspective to protect the woman.